Hello again everyone, and welcome to my review of the M42 Duster, the Tier 7 Premium American Light Tank. So a little backstory of this historic tank. The M42 Duster was produced back in 1952 as one of America's efforts to combat enemy aircraft. It features two Bofors 40mm autocannons on an M41 Walker Bulldog's chassis. While the idea was sound, supersonic aircraft were just coming into the picture, making conventional anti-air basically obsolete. However, it was later used in Vietnam as ground support. It was reported that it was very effective at blunting enemy infantry attacks and good for defending against low-altitude air attacks where surface-to-air missile systems were ineffective. Okay, so you might be asking, Death, what makes this tank different from any other premium light? To which I would say that the Duster, with its 40mm autocannons, are capable of making its target more aerodynamic due to the sheer amount of rounds it can pump out. The way I like to think of it is it's basically a better balanced T249, but down in Tier 7. What I'm trying to get at is that I think it's a really good ambusher, flanking aggressive heavy tanks and attacking them from the sides and rear where their armor is at the weakest, and in such a position that they can't focus you without taking a ton of damage in turn from your teammates. It also does amazingly well at pushing the back line and shredding those lightly armored tank destroyers and artillery that are supporting the front line. Now don't get me wrong, it's not like a Vanguard with amazing camo that allows it to get there, but when it does have the opening to get to the back line, it can basically vaporize anything that's back there. Anyways, let's talk about those 40mm autocannons. They have their ups and their downs, but let's go through what I liked and didn't like, starting with the bad and ending with the good. So one of the main problems I had with this tank was the fairly low pin of just 120mm, only being better than the Setter with its stock cannon that had 115mm to pin and equal with the Hotchkiss's stock gun. It also didn't have a premium round, so 120mm is the best you're going to get. This means that you are going to struggle to deal with tanks frontally and even the sides and rears when it comes to tier 9s or even super heavies. Now personally, I never tried out the high explosive shells, but with them only having a 26mm of pen for only 15 extra damage, I doubt they're useful except for the most thinly of armored tanks. Now for the good. The autocannons deal between 26 and 42 damage per shot, the average being 35. With a magazine of 8 rounds, this comes out to a clip potential of 208 and 368, with the average being 280. The Duster has an intra-clip of 0.25 seconds, so it requires 1.75 seconds to fully dump the magazine. Combine this with the base reload of only 2 seconds, and you've got an impressive damage per minute of 4,480. Now enough about the guns. It's a light tank. So, how does it perform in the scouting role? Well, like with other American light tanks, it has a higher than average view range of 390 meters. So it will have an easy time with spotting targets, but will it get spotted in return? Unfortunately, due to it being a fairly large tank, its camo does suffer. It has a camo rating of 24.5%. That's 339 meters for those who prefer reading it that way. While this does allow you to outspot mediums and heavies, you may struggle against other lights or even some tank destroyers. That being said, due to it having such small guns, it has a very low aftershock camo penalty, so you can fire with less of a chance of being spotted. So at least there's that. Wait, hold up. Here's one of my favorite parts of this video. It's just magnifique. Now look at that artillery getting chewed up by the autocannons. It really showcases the capability of this tank at destroying the backline. Anyway, sorry about that. So, as for the mobility, it was actually fairly decent. With a base top speed of 72.4 kilometers per hour, the only tank faster than it was the Snakebite. Now, because of the way I had mine set up, I was able to get it up to 83 kilometers per hour, so I felt like I was as fast as lightning. Now, it doesn't have the most capable of engines, so it did feel like it was a bit of a struggle getting up to speed, at least compared to other lights. It was also a bit of a problem when playing a more passive scout role, since once I was spotted, it made it much more difficult to retreat back into cover before My sixth sense started becoming targeted, and tracers started flying in my direction. Speaking of which, because it is a tier 7 light, when I was in games where I was facing tier 9s, there were times where I would suddenly get 1 or 2 tapped by said tanks, and it sucked. Like I said earlier in this video, this tank really excels at being able to flank its targets. So if you're not really savvy at map awareness, this probably isn't the tank for you. But if you are able to look at the map and figure out where the enemy team might be concentrated, while also remembering where your team is and where their sight lines begin and end, you can really excel at this tank. But it really requires you to know your maps fairly well, know where you can get in at, where you can get out at, and things like that. Now overall, what were my final thoughts of this tank? Well, at the moment, I'm currently only with about 15 battles in it, so again, not the greatest, but you know, it gave me a slight taste of what the tank's really capable of doing. And like I said, it's a decent flanker. It can really dish out damage on unsuspecting enemies, but it does struggle with those more heavily armored tanks. And as long as it's top tier, it's great. Medium tier, it's okay. Bottom tier, like always, they tend to struggle, and lights tend to struggle pretty hard there. Now, because a lot of World War II map designs are similar to corridors, it did struggle because, you know, it can't pen anything frontally. And because most of these designs also limit the ability to move between corridors, you couldn't flank and you couldn't spot. So it caused major issues, and I'll be honest with you, those maps, I'm looking at you, Abby, it felt like I wasn't doing anything in it. At least until my team had hopefully done enough damage and pushed the enemy back enough for me to move up. Now obviously, if you're not somebody who enjoys light tanks, you're not going to like this tank. I know a lot of people tend to hate having very low pen, and this thing has very low pen, so if you're not somebody who's very knowledgeable of the armor thickness and weak spots of certain tanks, you're going to really struggle with this tank. And remember, it's a light tank, you are the eyes of the team, so if you're also somebody who likes sitting back and just sniping, please don't play a light tank. That's not what they're for. They're the eyes of the team. You need to be out there making plays, finding the enemy. Now, I'm not saying that you have to engage the enemy, but at least go out there and find them so your team can engage them. And like with all light tanks, the longer you survive, the more effective you are. If you could get some early game damage without taking some in return, go for it, because usually a player, as they lose health, they tend to play more and more conservatively. This allows you to have one less person up in the front lines that's going to be trying to spot you. Sorry, I went on a little tangent there. That was more of a, you know, generic light tank info, but back to the actual tank. Now, I did enjoy this tank just because it has some decent DPM for a light, and like I don't have an issue with targeting weak spots, but some do. So I would give it a 6 out of 10 for the average player, but for a skilled player, maybe an 8 or 9 out of 10. It is a very fun tank. Being able to dish out all that damage in a short period of time is just something else. Anyways, sorry if this video has been a little hectic. I've been recording it throughout the day. I had a birthday party that I had to go to and other stuff, so I've been in and out. So yeah, if y'all have any questions, concerns, comments, any feedback is good feedback for me. It helps me make better videos for y'all. I'll also be linking my Discord down below. You're all definitely welcomed in there. Y'all will be able to assist me with coming up with new topics for videos, assisting me in said videos, and things like that. Also, I also do giveaways in them. Anyways, so for those of you who like watching the gameplay, like always, I'll be having it play here shortly. It'll be at full volume with no commentary, so it just showcases the tank itself. Like always, I appreciate y'all as a community, and I'll see y'all next time. Farewell.